Your phone vibrates. A wildfire warning fills the screen. It shows the flames, the wind, and the safest road out. Now remove the phone. Remove the road. Remove the satellites, firefighters, sirens, and rescue vehicles. The sky ahead is turning orange. Ash is falling between the trees. Behind you stands an entire group. Children, older people, injured travelers, supplies gathered over many days. And the fire may be moving faster than some of them can run. How did ancient humans escape wildfires without modern warnings? The answer was not speed. It was recognizing the danger before running became the only choice. A wildfire does not always begin as a visible wall of flame. First, the landscape changes. The air smells different. A thin column of smoke rises beyond a ridge. Ash appears where no campfire is burning. Birds leave one patch of trees. Animals begin moving in unusual directions. The sunlight becomes yellow, then orange. The wind carries smoke from a place that should still be clear. A modern traveler might notice one of these signs, but without an alert, would you understand what they meant together? Ancient humans had to. Their first survival technology was attention. We often imagine frightened people seeing flames and suddenly running. But when flames surrounded the camp, the best choices were already gone. The real escape began before anyone saw the fire itself. One person noticed smoke above the trees. Another felt the wind change while gathering food. A traveler returned with news of animals leaving a valley. One clue might mean little. Several clues became a warning system. It had no alarm. It existed inside many human minds. But noticing smoke created a harder question. Where was the fire going? Fire needs fuel. Dry grass, shrubs, fallen branches, and trees allow it to continue moving. Wind pushes heat toward fresh vegetation. It can also carry burning embers beyond the visible flames. The group could run from one fire and find another starting ahead. Then terrain changed the danger again. Fire often spreads faster uphill. Flames and rising heat warm the vegetation above them before the fire arrives. A narrow valley can channel wind and smoke. A steep slope slows people while helping the danger gain ground. The obvious path could become a trap. Ancient humans did not know modern fire science. But they did not need scientific terms. They needed patterns. The direction of smoke revealed the wind. Bending grass showed what the air was doing near the ground. A ridge could reveal the position of the smoke. But climbing toward it could bring the group closer to faster-moving fire. Every useful clue created another decision. This was not one athletic survivor choosing where to run. It was a logistics problem involving everyone. Who could move quickly? Who needed help? Who knew the land beyond the next hill? What could be abandoned? And what had to leave with the group? Stone tools, hides, containers, food, tinder, and fuel all had value. But every object also reduced speed. The fire forced a brutal calculation. Something that supported life yesterday could threaten life today. Heavy materials might be abandoned. Loads could be reduced to water, cutting tools, coverings, and items difficult to replace. One adult could carry a child. Another could support an injured or older person. Someone familiar with the terrain could guide the front. Others could watch the smoke behind and beside the group. No single person needed to understand the entire crisis. Knowledge could be divided. One watched the wind. One remembered a rocky clearing. Another knew where the vegetation became thinner. Someone else stayed with the slowest person. The materials were simple. The coordination was not. Then came the escape route. The shortest way was not always the safest. Dense plants offered fuel. Dead branches could ignite quickly. Steep ground could slow the group while the fire accelerated. Open or rocky terrain might contain less material to burn. Wet ground, broad streams, or bare earth might reduce exposure in some conditions. But none of them guaranteed safety. Embers can cross open ground and ignite new fires. Smoke can hide the landscape before the flames arrive. A stream can delay vulnerable travelers. A rocky clearing can become a trap if fire approaches from several sides. Ancient survival was not about finding one perfect answer. It was about removing the worst answers before time disappeared. That made memory as important as speed. Groups returning through familiar territory could remember where fires had burned before. They could remember exposed stone, open ground, wet areas, and paths with fewer obstacles. They could remember which valleys collected smoke. They could remember where strong winds crossed a ridge, and they could remember an escape route that had once failed. This knowledge did not need to be written. It could be demonstrated during ordinary travel. Children could learn which plants burned rapidly. Young adults could learn how smoke behaved near different slopes. Stories could preserve the memory of a dangerous valley. The warning system was not stored in a machine. It was stored in people. But memory could not be trusted blindly. Wind changes. Vegetation grows back. A dry season transforms familiar ground. An old route still had to be tested against the fire that existed today. Look again. Feel the wind again. Watch the smoke again. Experience guided the decision. Observation corrected it. The group also had to remain together. Thick smoke could hide someone only a short distance away. Cracking trees and frightened animals could drown out quiet voices. Panic could send different people in opposite directions. Simple calls, gestures, physical contact, and remembered meeting points may have reduced that confusion. We cannot recover one universal ancient evacuation formation. Spoken warnings and gestures do not fossilize. But the survival principle is clear. Information had to move through the group faster than the danger. Sometimes the smartest preparation may have started long before the emergency. Humans did not only flee from fire. Many later hunter-gatherer and indigenous societies learned to use controlled burning. Small, deliberate fires could clear travel areas, support useful plants, and create patches of differently aged vegetation. In some landscapes, that could also change how fuel was distributed. But this evidence must be handled carefully. It does not prove that every ancient group created fire breaks or managed fire in the same way. Deep prehistoric behavior is difficult to reconstruct. Charcoal can come from lightning. Burned soil does not tell us who started the fire. Even when humans were nearby, archaeology may not preserve why an area burned. What archaeology does show is a relationship with fire extending deep into human evolution. At Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, researchers found burned plant material and bone in deposits approximately 1 million years old. The evidence indicates burning inside the cave during early human occupation. It does not record a wildfire evacuation, but it shows that humans were living with fire across an immense span of time. Another clue comes from outside archaeology. Researchers in Senegal observed savanna chimpanzees monitoring seasonal fires and changing their movements as the flames advanced. Chimpanzees cannot tell us exactly what ancient humans did, but the observation shows that animals in fire-prone landscapes can learn patterns instead of responding with blind panic. Ancient humans could add something more. Language, memory, teaching, tools, collective planning. And escaping the flames was not the end. The group could still face smoke, thirst, burns, exhaustion, and lost supplies. Food might be gone. Containers might be damaged. Fallen trees could block familiar paths. The landscape that supported life yesterday could look completely different. Survival required a second plan. Count the people. Check injuries. Find cleaner air and usable water. Recover only what remains safe. Then decide whether to return, wait, or keep moving. Later, the burned landscape could provide new information. Tracks became easier to see on exposed ground. Some animals entered recently burned areas. New growth could eventually attract prey and offer gathering opportunities. Fire had destroyed part of the known world. But humans learned to read what came after it. Modern wildfire safety uses satellites, predictive models, evacuation orders, roads, and trained emergency teams. Ancient strategies should never replace modern emergency instructions. But beneath our technology remains the same basic logic. Notice danger early. Read the wind and terrain. Move before every route closes. Protect those who cannot move quickly. Abandon possessions when carrying them threatens life. And never confuse familiar ground with safe ground. Today, wildfire arrives as information on a screen. For ancient humans, the warning appeared in smell, light, wind, smoke, sound, and animal movement. We see smoke. They had to see direction, fuel, terrain, distance, and time. They could not command the fire to stop. They could only make better decisions before it arrived. Someone watched the horizon. Someone remembered the open ground. Someone lifted the child. Someone stayed beside the person who could not run. And someone carried the lesson into the next generation. Ancient humans did not survive wildfire because they felt no fear. They survived because fear became attention. Attention became coordination. And coordination became knowledge that could outlive the flames. Your warning arrives through a satellite. Theirs arrived through the landscape. The technology changed. The intelligence behind survival did not.